Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you joining us today, we welcome you in. Entertaining little article from CBC News today. The Prime Minister is considering making the vaccine mandatory for all federal employees. There's going to be some of you out there who are decrying your personal freedoms and your right to your body and stuff like that. And I'm not going to discount that in any way, shape, or form. You do have a right to your body. The same token, we do have a right as a civilization to continue. That's not what this debate is about. I think it's a very interesting step for the Prime Minister to make. He's not the only one in the world to make that a condition of employment. And I said before, it will be coming soon enough that in order to work, you're going to have to prove that you're vaccinated. For those of you who are old enough, remember those little vaccination pamphlets we used to carry around that showed you had your smallpox, your diphtheria, all that polio, all those little things, those little yellow cards? This is nothing that's unprecedented. But when he says all federal workers must have their vaccination, I have to wonder, how logistically is he going to manage to accomplish this? Silverlight has a family doctor. Yes, he does. And he goes to him quite often. Well, recently, that family doctor had a little bit of a fall, and since he's close to 80 years old, he wound up in the hospital. Turns out nothing was bad. They were just making sure everything was working, there was nothing broken, that kind of thing. And he's a doctor, frontline worker, 80 years old. And he says, since I'm here, can you give me the vaccine while I'm here? They told him no. The vaccine person only comes on Fridays. What? This is a doctor. This is a frontline worker. This is a federal employee. This is somebody who, by all definitions, should have had the vaccine months ago. There he is in a hospital, and they can't give him the vaccine because he didn't get hurt on the right day. And he's having trouble getting hold of the vaccine. So imagine being a federal worker who is fully willing to take the vaccine, but can't get into a clinic. We all know how difficult it is for people to get their first and second doses. The waiting lists are still out the door. So to require all federal employees to have their vaccines is a pretty tall order. And I'm speaking from one of the biggest cities in the nation. If you start going up to Tuktoyaktuk and Moose Jaw and all the little places, it's a lot harder to get access to a vaccine, if you even want it. It's going to be interesting to see how these cases are tried in court. You have a right to your own body, but the government and private industry both have the right to mandate safe working conditions. Let's leave aside the argument about the safety of the vaccine for the present time. Let's pretend it's a perfect world full of sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns. And everything is happy-go-lucky. There's no side effects. Medication works 100% of the time. Let's pretend it's that special world. And even then, getting needles into arms is a hard thing to do. I've mentioned once before on this show about having buses going around, just like ice cream trucks. And why this is not a thing is something I don't know. You'd be told, okay, in your area, the bus will be by at, Tuesday afternoon, whatever, and then they have a second bus come by with the first dose, maybe a week later, because there's elderly people who don't get to go out. There's all sorts of people that don't really get the chance to go out. Federal workers, okay, what about mounted police? The people who are patrolling the Northwest Territories, Yukon, Northern British Columbia, who don't get near a town or anybody for weeks, if not months on end. What about the armed forces? They're federal employees. And I mean, it's a lot easier with them. The sergeant's going to come in and say, everybody line up on the left. You're going in to QR and getting your vaccines right now. And that's going to happen. Boy, would I love to be there when somebody decides to disagree with the sergeant on that one. Which will happen, and unfortunately, no longer, well, being retired from the military, I won't get to witness that. But that would be funny, and I wish I would get some footage on that. If somebody has some real footage of it, please let me know. But the Prime Minister is trying to issue an edict from on high, saying he wants all federal employees to be vaccinated. Now, I applaud his intentions. He's proceeding with scientific facts as he has them presented to him. He's trying to make things safe. He's trying to drive the pandemic out in any way possible. And that's because big business is tired of shutdowns. Big business is just as sick of lockdowns as the rest of us are. And they're the ones driving things at the present time, saying, no more lockdowns, fix this. We got a vaccine, let's use it. Unfortunately, the practicality is much more complicated. Even in a pretty densely populated street like this, I'm going to guess maybe half the people have a vaccination at all, if that. And this is an area that is pretty open to it. So to go into a federal building, whether it's a police station, whether it's whoever it is, I'm gonna pick on the police. Police get involved in a lot of stuff. Let's leave aside the nasty stuff where people get shot and then they have to go through all the special investigations. Let's just assume your normal burglaries, homicides, and dead bodies. That's what police deal with. Now, some cop gets in, maybe he or she has worked 10, 12 hours and has been through a horrible day where the child was abducted and someone got murdered and all those crazy things. You really think they want to go and get a shot in the arm? No. They want to go home, lie down, get a couple hours sleep, and come back into work. Same with doctors. Same with ambulance drivers. Same with nurses. Same with pretty much anybody in the federal government. There's no real 9-to-5 jobs when you work in any sort of frontline service. You have an 8-hour shift, but the odds are you're going to be going over it and getting overtime pretty much every single day of the week. And the federal government is going to be expecting these people to just stop what they're doing and all roll up their sleeves and get stabbed in the arm. Yeah, I hate to tell the Prime Minister that simply is not going to happen. Even, like I said, in a perfect world where there's no dispute over the vaccine and it works 100% of the time, magical rainbows and fairy dust and all that sort of stuff, it's still a monumental task. And can you imagine being that one RCMP patrol that's out in the Deadlands having to hunt down God knows what, because patrols do go into the middle of nowhere. You don't see home for days or weeks at an end. The Coast Guard, they have cutters out all over the place. They have icebreakers that are out blazing trails through the Arctic. Yes, they can send a helicopter in with supplies, but we all know the government works on a budget. They're going to wait for them to get back to base. That's a lot of people who can potentially slip through the net. And not everybody's a federal employee. You know, sooner or later, the provinces are going to be doing the same thing. The states, I'm surprised the individual states aren't trying the same thing. Although, probably sooner or later, they're going to be. The ultimate truth of the matter is, the lesson that we took out of 2020 and 2021 is that we can lower the incidence of transmittable disease. Cough drops were at an all-time low last year because people weren't getting coughs because most people were wearing face protection. And while I hate to say that's the way of the future, society has moved in that direction. I, for one, aside from friends, don't like shaking people's hands. My friends I know wash their hands on a somewhat regular basis, whereas a random person on the street, okay, yeah, the polite first handshake, yes, but I know some people that insist on that handshake every single day. It's like, no, thank you. The European tradition of kissing on one or both cheeks, it's a bit of a shame we're going to be losing that, but at the same token, you take the good with the bad. We have things within our power to be a better society. And you know what? Personal contact is fantastic, provided you know the people that you're in contact with. I have a group of friends, and they play games together, board games, whatever it might be. And there's this one guy who was the miserable old curmudgeon of the group, the grumpy old fella. And before this, the lockdowns and everything started, they were playing. They decided to have one last session. And this guy called up and said, "Oh, I haven't been feeling well for the past couple of weeks." And this guy is a bus driver. So not only did he put all of them into panic mode, but how many people did he have on his buses that he possibly put in danger? It's that 1 in a million that we need to look out for. Now, once again, Silverlight has to be clear. We stand for individual liberty, but we also stand for individual responsibility. I got no problem with you deciding you're not going to get the shot. That's your choice. I don't like that the federal government is mandating their employees have to get the shot because it sets a precedent for everybody to follow. But at the same token, I'm understanding why they're doing it. Because they have to do something. The Delta variant is coming. And there's another Brazilian variant coming apparently too. So there's a potential for 2 more waves. They're bringing the kids back to school, and guess what? The kids do not have to be vaccinated. Nope, teachers do, the kids don't. Does that make any sense? Heck no. Just like last year it didn't make any sense when they brought the kids back and they didn't have anybody vaccinated. We all saw that coming, and let's be honest, kids are dirty. They're beautiful, they're cute, they're intelligent, they're smart, they're all sorts of wonderful things. But a kid is going to stick their fingers into, what's that stuff that they call the... It's not Play-Doh, but it's like it. But slime, that's it. They're going to stick their fingers in slime, then they're going to go stick them in mud, and they're going to go pick a chocolate bar up and eat it without thinking twice. Virtually no adult is going to do that. Kids are little disease factories. And we haven't even started vaccinating the children. Not even the vulnerable ones. So, this plan from the federal government to vaccinate all of its employees just seems like an exercise in rhetoric. It also seems like an exercise in desperation because a month ago, we were winning the fight against this stuff. The pandemic was going away. And now, all of a sudden, we have to start vaccinating everybody? There's something that we're not being told. I'm not sure what it was, but that'll give you a little something to think about. We wish to thank you for joining us on Silverlight Show. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe, and we hope you all have a fantastic day.